Alright guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. The last video was a huge hit. We didn't expect to get that much love and support from you guys. I really appreciate that. That makes me so excited to keep doing this. We were hyped. Caden and I, the man behind the camera. Also didn't give him credit in the last video. I forgot to, so I want to make sure tag him below and stuff. He's been killing it. He's killing it with the filming, the editing, and all that. So today we're going to do a Q&A. I got some questions here that you guys sent in from Instagram, and I think this is a good way to share who I am, because you've seen a little bit about what I do, and we can go a little deeper, and I could talk about who I am, what I stand for, and kind of some questions that you guys have about me and Aged Ivy and business, life, personal, whatever. So let's get right into it. First question is, who are you and how did you get into vintage? So my name is Mason Shadell. I'm 25 years old, and I grew up in Lake Zurich, Illinois. It's a northwest suburb of Chicago. Getting into vintage I'd say started honestly back in middle school when I started selling shoes, and I was trying to figure it out, run businesses selling shoes. Started a couple, failed a couple, learned some lessons, tried again. I always was trying to do entrepreneurial type things. I did shoes, I did the whole hypebeast era, selling that kind of stuff, and always kind of wanted to have my own brand. So when I went to college in 2019, that was my first year. I went there first semester. Second semester we got sent home during COVID. And first semester, I kind of stopped selling shoes for a little bit because I was focusing on school. And I was enjoying the social part of college, but not the school part. When I got sent home, I started thrifting and making bucket hats out of denim and just random stuff. And at that time, the Instagram lives with Chris and Wiz were popping off. And that whole live community was just blowing up. Tees were going for thousands and thousands of dollars. The whole community around it and all the buzz, all the hype got me really excited. And I tried to get in on lives with them and do auctions and that kind of stuff. But at the time, I just started and I was nobody. I was posting on an Instagram page that I just started, but my content was terrible. It was just pictures outside of t-shirts in the grass on my driveway and stuff. And I kept trying to get in on those, and I was never able to. So then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to build my own platform and build it in a way that no one else was doing at the time. And that's kind of where the idea for Aged Ivy started. So that leads me into question number 2. How did Aged Ivy start when you were at Mizzou? So Aged Ivy technically started when I got sent home for COVID. And I was just thrifting, like I said, and when I had that idea to build out the vintage community and brand that I had in my head, the idea was that I didn't like buying stuff from the mall, so I wanted to source things that I thought were cool and then sell them on my Instagram and turn that into a brand, but a vintage brand. And at the time, no one was doing that. You either had you were selling on Instagram Live and selling stuff for thousands of dollars, or you were just sourcing whatever you could find at a thrift store and flipping it at a flea market. So those were kind of the only two options at the time. I just wanted to kind of change the game and disrupt it a little bit because I felt there was a big gap and I had a vision for what I wanted Aged Ivy to look like. So that's when I started curating intentional things that I liked and building the vision that I had early on about what I wanted Aged Ivy to look like. Next question is, what did it look like building Aged Ivy while you were still in school? That was an interesting time. That was a lot of work because I was in school full time and I was also building a business full time, and definitely neglected school a lot. I'd wake up at 5 a.m., go take pictures in the parking garage, do content, go to class, list the stuff online, sell it, post on social media, source inventory in class, and then go home, do homework, work all night on the vintage again, and did that for a couple years until we got an opportunity to get a store in the student center on our college campus. And that was definitely a big pivotal moment because that's when things changed. Originally, it was just me in my dorm room or fraternity or apartment, just with clothes, Z-Racks everywhere, couldn't even walk. And opening up a store really changed from this is just someone reselling vintage out of their apartment or dorm room to oh, this is a legit business. They have a storefront and that was like really one of the things that I think helped us grow a lot. Even after the store, it was website pictures in the morning, take the inventory to class, upload it on the website. It's also available in the store now, and work on the business during class. My grades definitely started to slip towards the end of college when the business started to like take off more and more. And then we started doing, instead of just randomly dropping stuff on the website, we transitioned to drops and then curated drops. And at that time, like I said earlier, like no one was really doing the vintage business the way that we were doing it. And we were kind of printing the roadmap on like how to build and scale like a successful vintage business, because it's a lot different than a clothing business in sense of like sourcing and inventory and marketing. But that's kind of like what it looked like in school. Definitely more focused on the business than school itself, which I think that leads us into another question, which is, what did you study in college and did that help you in any way? I studied finance with an emphasis in real estate, and I'd say like at the specific school I was at, it didn't help that much, honestly. I think more the more valuable part of school wasn't necessarily like classes or what I learned in classes. It was who I met and like the opportunity I got with the storefront. There was like a lot of times that I like wanted to drop out and almost did. I would say like now, especially if you're if you're thinking about running a business or starting a business and you're wondering if you should go to school, like looking back on it, I don't think I would have gone to school again, just because there's so many other ways to grow and learn and make connections now. And I think school is okay, but also like a lot of the people, depending on what school you go to, of course, like a lot of people that go to colleges aren't going for the same reason that like an entrepreneur or a business person would go to college, because anyone can go to college, coast, and kind of party and stuff. And that's like what I felt like Mizzou was for me. And I, early on, like I kind of like, at the beginning of college especially, like before I started my business, I was in that party life of Mizzou and going out to the bars and all that. And once I kind of made that shift and realized like, okay, like if I continue to do this, I'm not gonna be able to reach my goals and my dreams and stuff. I kind of shifted my mindset and then like isolated myself almost and just really focused and dialed in on the business and my craft. And I think that was like, without doing that, I would not be where I was today. Another question is, what shaped me growing up? I'd say a big influence on what shaped me is like sports. I played basketball like very competitively. So growing up, I was always in the gym, always training, always going to tournaments on the weekends and playing with some of like the best people in my area, that some of them are in the league now. And just always like being in the gym with them, kind of like always pushing myself. That is definitely like one of the biggest things. Like I had a lot of hard situations growing up with just sports, school, and socially and stuff. I have dyslexia, so growing up with school too, I always never felt like I was as good as my classmates in school, and it kind of like put a chip on my shoulder and made me feel like I had something to prove and I had to work harder just to get the same scores as people around me. So that kind of instilled like work ethic, and for a while it also made me really not like school because I just wasn't good at it. So I just didn't want to do it. And like I knew I was a hard worker and I could be successful at what I did or good at what I did, but school just like was not one of those things for me. And I think that was like a really pivotal thing that kind of like shaped who I am. Next question. What would you be doing if you weren't doing vintage? That's a tough one. I mean, I love content creation. I love digital e-com stuff. I'm super into that. But definitely like being some sort of like creative or business owner, if it wasn't vintage, like it would be in some other avenue. If you had to start from zero today, what would you do? I would focus on creating content and just learning skills that are valuable for any business. Things are so digital that if you have a skill, especially like content creation or editing or like scaling any type of business, or like that stuff is all so valuable for any business now, no matter like what it is. And also managing people is a huge skill even if you don't want to do content or you don't want to be a creative, if you know how to manage and develop and push your people and team and that kind of thing, that is also a super valuable skill that you could get paid a lot for in any business. So I'd focus on those things and just try to be the best that you can and figure out how to, if you're not an entrepreneur and you work inside of a company, figure out how you can make yourself so valuable to that company that they can't operate without you. And that's how you can level up in a company. So that's a little bit, those are some questions that I had, a little bit of intro and background on myself. So I have another set of questions here, and this one is about like some mindset, discipline, overcoming challenges, some questions like that. So the first question here is, how do you stay disciplined in tough seasons? This is one that I really struggled with early on because like when things are going well, it's easy to like be excited about work and grind and be when you're feeling motivated, it's easy to continue to work hard and push yourself and be excited. But then business isn't just a straight line up, so it goes there's ups and downs, hills and valleys. So when you're in a valley or a slow time, like there's different phases in business, and when you're in a slow phase or you're struggling or not feeling motivated, the best thing that I do to help me stay disciplined during the peak, the valley phases or like low phases is, one, you got to understand that you're not always going to feel motivated. So don't base your actions off of like how motivated you're feeling or not. So still get up, go to the gym, work out, try to keep and build as much momentum as you can. Focusing on like little things like working out, eating healthy, that kind of stuff like helps you kind of like build up a little confidence. The big mindset here that you want to have is keeping your end goal in mind and where you want to be, like taking the action, not thinking about how things are going right now, but thinking about like where you want things to go or how they are going. That will allow you to still like stay disciplined even though you're not feeling motivated, because you have a vision and goals that you want to reach. Okay, so next question is, what's been the hardest chapter of life recently and what did it teach you? For that one, I'd say definitely like this year has been for me the hardest year that I've had throughout my whole life. Earlier at the beginning of this year, my dog Camo died, and he was just a puppy. I only had him for 3 months. He was so funny. He was the best. But since he passed, like that was really hard for me. And also like a lot of other things happened this year personally. And also like meanwhile, like I'm trying to pivot and transition the business and that building out these new things, and they haven't gone as smoothly as I'd like. Almost like I'm learning a whole new business or trying these different things. I think like the biggest thing I've learned out of all of that, to just trust that God has a plan for you. And it's been hard and I've struggled a lot with it, but I think just like being present and praying about it and still taking action and not letting things that I can't quite control just consume me. Yeah, I don't know. I've really leaned into God and building a relationship with him, and that has been like, I've grown a lot in my faith this past year, and it has been one of the biggest things that has helped me get through this year. What I've learned is like most important now in growing and developing in like every aspect. How do you structure your time and life as an entrepreneur? Yeah, this is such an important skill that I'm always constantly trying to improve and develop, because when you start, you're kind of just running and gunning and you don't know what you're doing, and you're just trying to figure things out and take action, and which is really important. And that's what you should do. You shouldn't overthink. You should just go and figure it out as you go. That's like a super important key, that if you're starting a business or you're an entrepreneur or anything like that, like just go and figure it out as you go. But as far as like structuring your time, being able to create systems for everything you do is most important. Even like if it's at work, outside of work, making it as easy as possible for yourself to get things done and flow right into the next thing is what I do to make myself like more effective, and how I structure my time as an entrepreneur. So like, for example, something I'll do is like getting all of my stuff planned and ready for the next day, getting my gym clothes out in the morning so I could wake up at 6 and put them on and go immediately, instead of like waking up and trying to get some clothes. Making everything as frictionless as possible is what I do. and that kind of like really helps me structure my time and be efficient and like move right into the next thing I'm doing. Oh, here's a good question. Did you ever deal with doubt, pressure, or wanting to quit? And yeah, this is something that I deal with all the time. I think all entrepreneurs do. Or if you're a music artist, an athlete, it's all the same. Like, you're always gonna feel doubt. You're always gonna question yourself. You're always gonna think about quitting or like those what ifs. So like, this is completely normal if this is something you're going through. I go through this at the level I'm at. I know people above me go through this. This is something that kind of never goes away, and it's always in the back of your mind. Is this going to be worth it? Should I quit? All this kind of stuff. What I do is keep that end vision in mind and like where you want to be, where you want to go to, and when things get hard, which they will, and that's mostly what business is. It's just making hard decisions, doing hard tasks, and challenging yourself. And that's just what comes with it and what makes it one of the most beneficial things about it. But yeah, just keeping that end goal in mind, that'll help you when things are getting hard, and keeping your momentum and doing whatever you can to get that momentum back when you lose it. What hobbies do you have outside of work? I love to snowboard. I love to do like I like to do the flow rider or surf. I like to shoot guns. I like to work out. I like to eat clean. I like to cold plunge. I like to sauna. I like to do anything that takes care of myself or challenges myself, like games, basketball, pickleball. I love pickleball. Anything active, I think, is really fun for me. Pushing myself socially or with sports. So that brings us to our next section, business growth and strategy. How can someone grow a business alone when they're doing all the work? Yeah, so when I started out, it was just me trying to figure things out. You got to learn every corner of your business and make sure that you can master that or get somewhat good at it to where you can then bring people on eventually and teach them how to take your job over. Your job as a founder, entrepreneur should always be teaching someone under you how to replace yourself. And same even as an entrepreneur, being able to learn processes and then teach someone under you how to learn that from you and then manage them and then learn that next thing. That's like how you start, and that's how you start to scale. When you're alone, it's going to be a lot of work. You're going to be in the early grind phases. You're going to be working all day, all night. And that's just how it is at first, but you have to do that and make sure that your business can run before you even start to think about hiring people. What are the most important tasks you focus on daily, weekly, monthly? My priorities that I'm focusing on is 1, my relationship with God, 2, taking care of myself, and then 3, my business, and building out the new avenues, putting out content, developing my team. Those are all things that like I'm really focused on. Kind of this pivot right now on the rebranding that I've been talking about. There's a lot of changes that are happening right now in the business that I'm working on, so it's not set in stone. We have systems on how we operate the vintage stuff, but a lot of this other stuff that we're working on is new to us. So we're kind of like almost in those early stages that I'm talking about where we're just like trying things and figuring out and don't really have all the answers. How do you stay consistent with content and grow on Instagram? I'd say the biggest thing, I try to do what works for me. So I don't post every day. I can't manage that right now, and I think that's okay. You just have to really focus on like first like what can you manage, what can you do, and then like the biggest thing in growing is focusing on like why you're putting content out there, building community and opening up and being real with people and sharing what your vision is or like what you think like brand wise or personal brand wise, just like sharing things that you enjoy that you think are cool and focusing more on that like instead of numbers and reach and all this stuff, because people are going to relate to you if you're being real, authentic, and they feel like they could match with your vibe. What's the biggest mistake brand owners or resellers make that hold them back? I think the biggest mistake is doing this for the wrong reason. So a lot of people think that you can make a lot of money building a brand or a clothing brand or reselling vintage, or it's so easy. And if you want to like actually grow and scale a big brand or vintage brand, I think that like if you just get in it because of the money, when things get hard, which they will, you're gonna slow up or you're gonna quit. That's the biggest mistake that I see people make, getting in and doing things for the wrong reason. Next question is, how do you scale a business once it starts working? The biggest thing to start scaling once your business is like proven and it works is people. So like people and systems. Those are the two things that you need to scale your business once it's working. You need to create systems that you can plug people into and that can operate efficiently by themselves. So that way, like if you have a system, it is measurable, trackable, and you can judge like how your employees or people working in those systems are performing, and then like putting people into those systems, training them, developing them. Their development and how you train your team and the culture you have determines a lot on like how you grow and how you scale. And those are like the two biggest things. On to the next section. This section is about like a little bit more about team systems and our operations. Have you always had a team, and how did you expand? No, I haven't always had a team. For a long time, we didn't have any employees, and we started to hire some, and we didn't have any systems, didn't know what we were doing, and spent a lot of time and resources and frustration just getting upset and angry at employees like not working as hard as we did. And that was on me. That was on me as a leader, because I didn't have any systems. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to train, develop, or manage any employees. It was kind of just like one of those things that we were running and gunning, throwing people in. At one point, we had like 15 employees, and we were not efficient. We like ended up wasting like 50 grand in salaries, and just blew so much money on like, I thought the answer was to hire more people. Like, things aren't getting done, we need to hire more. When really it was like, no, things aren't getting done. Like, I need to look inwards and see where I'm lacking as a leader, and like where our business is lacking. Like, what are the systems that we're failing on? Why are things not getting done? Why is this why are we not efficient? So now currently we have a team of like 3 people, and I'd say we're just as efficient as like what we were with 15 people, 4 people. And then like also some like Caden and some other like people that we kind of have like working on now at other projects. Are you or your team sourcing daily? Yes, we source daily, and it is one of the most challenging parts of the vintage business, just based on like how we have our business structured and the product that we sell. Sourcing is the biggest, it's a big challenge for us, and I travel a lot on weekends and stuff to go source, but we're sourcing a lot. How did you afford your first studio space? So we made sure we had a proven concept, and it was a little bit like expensive at first, especially, and it's like, oh well, that's a big risk. But also I think it's so important, even for myself, like with this next move and stuff, being comfortable and like putting yourself into those risky, uncomfortable positions are necessary to like level up. If I'm comfortable, it's easier to just coast, but when I'm uncomfortable and I have to like make rent or have these quotas or things that I need to hit, like that is what allows me to like grow and scale and push myself. So like I enjoy putting myself in uncomfortable positions to grow more. What do you look for when hiring someone? I think the most important thing is mindset and work ethic, because if someone doesn't have the right mindset, they're not going to be a good culture fit. And if you hire someone that is a bad culture fit, they'll be a cancer for your business. Like, we've had people that are bad culture fits, and they are cancers to everyone else in the business, and you got to take care of that and just fire them immediately. You can't have that kind of stuff in your business. Here's the last section. This section's a little bit more about the future, so some of these questions are like based on like what we're going to be moving into. Any sneak peeks on your rebrand or what you're building? I've kind of showed a little bit of teasers. I don't want to give too much away because it's going to be a big pivot for us. Just know that it's going to be huge, and it's going to change the game. Would you ever open another brick and mortar store? Yes. I mean, I'd be open to it if it made sense. Right now, currently, I don't think it makes sense with like the goals, short-term vision, but like long-term, it's not something I'd be opposed to. So like I'd think about it. What's your long-term vision for Aged Ivy and your new clothing brand? So my long-term vision is to just keep creating and growing like with product that I'm really excited about, that I wear all the time, and keep scaling. Like, there's so many more different ventures I want to get into, and so many more different like whether it's like content or product or lanes. Like, I just want to keep growing like this whole world, and also like help my team grow and give them opportunities to grow and create careers so they can build and develop and like support their own families and grow like with the brand. That's kind of like my big goal, my big vision. What's your long-term vision for YouTube, coaching, and your life? YouTube, I just want to document more of what I'm building because like I put so much work into this, and like before like talking more about this with you guys, like I think on other socials it's kind of hard, like it seems like a little bit one-dimensional, but YouTube like really feels like personal to me, and like when I watch YouTube it makes me such a more of a fan of like the people that I watch. So I think just like this is just like another avenue to allow you guys to like step into my world and see like what I'm about, what I'm doing, and like include you guys more because these things are so cool, and there's like so many moments and meetings and like all things that I'm working on that like you guys just haven't seen for the longest time. And I just think that like showing you guys and sharing you guys with this stuff, I think just continuing to do this and like just showing every part of what we're doing is what I want to do. And then like getting on podcasts or doing podcasts with people, I think YouTube could turn into something like that too, or I don't really know. I mean, I just want to document and share and help like teach you guys and learn and grow, and like even with the coaching and stuff along with like that part of the question. I've like everything I've learned just the hard way myself, wasting time, energy, money, headaches, frustration, and I didn't really have anyone there with me early on teaching me things, helping me learn. I do have like a good mentor now, and I think just like being able to help you guys with building your brands is my biggest goal, to like save you all that time and energy and frustration. Helping you guys grow quicker than I was able to grow is awesome. What legacy do you want to leave behind? I'd say like the biggest, most important thing to me is just teaching and helping and showing others that personal excellence is important, whether it's with your work, your faith, your relationships. I just think culture in this country is like shifted so much to where so many people are lazy, so many people are like not trying like to do hard things or creative things and just kind of coasting. And I don't like that at all. I think especially like as men, we need to be pushing ourselves. We need to be grinding. We need to be like just committing, like being personally excellent in any realm of or any area of life, and just being like the leaders for our families, our friends, our communities, whoever is following us, and just living that standard and helping other people like realize that is the most fulfilling thing that you can do. Especially like a lot of you young guys to like go out there and like push yourself and try these hard things and start that business and be okay with failing. I think just sharing that kind of vision or outlook, and just like whether it's like through my clothing brand or through my content personally, and just like helping you guys and teaching you guys and like being there for maybe some of you that aren't as far along the journey as I am. I think that is like my the number one goal with all of this stuff. Cool. So that wraps up our YouTube video. I had a lot of cool questions that you guys sent in. I'm really excited to keep doing these things. This will be going up like post Black Friday, so we've already had our sale. I think like we might have like 1 or 2 days left, and depending on when this goes up for the Aged Ivy sale. But also like I got a lot more business questions and stuff, like very specific nitty gritty stuff that I didn't dive too deep into. We're still building out the Ivy League, so that is going to be the place where I can really help you guys a little bit more hands-on with specifics on business, tactically, like what steps should you take, where do I go, what do I do with this decision, how do I create systems, how do I hire, scale, all that kind of stuff. I'm super passionate about that, and I want to go deep on that stuff and not just give you guys like surface level stuff. So all of that, when we launch, is going to be found in the Ivy League. We'll have some updates about that. Drop a like on this video, drop a comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Appreciate you.